Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends, wish you once again a very good evening. With the Dhamma, we all discuss. May you be able to take your mind into all the high aspect of the Buddha's teaching to feel the Nibbana experience right now in a certain way and to continue your Dhamma practices with wholesome intention. I'm not at the Vihara today, the usual place we conduct the Sutta studies. I'm from a different location in the Vihara due to the busy nature in the area of Vihara with other activities. So anyhow, I was waiting for this discussion because we could not have the discussion Sutta study for last week due to my traveling. So I'm happy that you are here too. The sutta we selected has been one of the very interesting sutta for Dhamma friends. I know many of you have read this discourse before, but time to time we take such discourse for our own interest on the Dhamma, further to develop the interest in the Dhamma and to boost ourselves on noble virtues and concentration and wisdom. This sutta we selected is from Samyutta Nikaya, section 35, and the exact sutta number is 200. If you would like to read Pali version, you may do so by going to Sutta Central or just printed books, Tripitaka. But you have the availability, the suttas availability in the Google by the name Darukkhandopama Sutta. So here you have the title Darukkhandha Sutta, the log. This is a very nice sutta. The way the Buddha put the things into perfection is through a couple of similes. Because Anisaro has translated the one I linked to the email, and I think you read it. Perhaps you had the chance to read others' translation also. Let me begin the sutta study by saying that this sutta is teaching a group of bhikkhus everything they should consider and be careful. So when you say that you should consider and careful, it means something you should avoid is also mentioned there, and something you focus. And when you focus those things that mentioned in the discourse, you should have equipment or the qualities to consider. So for example, if you consider the Nandi Raga, the desire or craving, you should have mindfulness, you should have right wisdom, you should have that virya in your mind. Otherwise, there is no consideration happen, there is no good thing happen in you. So when you consider bad things, you should have good things, good qualities in your mind. Then only you finalize the consideration as they are really bad, they are really negative, so that this is the way I should go forward, leaving those bad things. So when you consider the negative things, of course, we know the fact that positive things should be there in mind. Consider negative thing in the positive way. That is my personal understanding about how we should go forward. Anything we consider, there should be kusala in our mind, in other words. So this sutta is really interesting just because, again, the way the Buddha explained, at the time the Buddha delivered this discourse, he was not at the Jetonarami Munasi. There is a particular place called Ajjeya on the bank of river Ganges. So people settled down near the rivers or wherever the water is available, people settle down there. So you can see that the civilization began based on those huge, long rivers, not only in the Indian subcontinent, but elsewhere in the world as well. So the Buddha was visiting this area for disseminating Dhamma, and they happened to, the Buddha and the Sangha over there, happened to go through the river bank for them to see something on the river. Then the Sutta says, he saw a large log being carried along by the current near the bank of the river Ganges, and on seeing it, said to the monks, "Monks, do you see that large log being carried along by the current of the river Ganges?" Yes, certain usual things happen like this in many occasions in the Buddha's life. However, when the Buddha says something, we know that he said something for a meaning. When we consider the Buddha's qualities, we know the fact that he never split a word without a meaning. He always talked with the meaning in mind for doing something great. So when the Buddha said like this, the bhikkhus around him, behind him, with him, know that there is something wonderful going on. So then the bhikkhu said, yes, we saw it. Then the Buddha said, monks, if that log doesn't veer towards the near shore, doesn't veer towards the far shore, doesn't sink in the middle, doesn't get washed up on high ground, doesn't get snared by human beings, doesn't get snared by non-human beings, doesn't get snared in a whirlpool, and it doesn't become rotten inside. It will tend to the ocean, tilt to the ocean, incline to the ocean. Why is that? Because the current of the river Ganges tend to the ocean. It is leading or inclined to the ocean. So yes, there is no difficulty in understanding this. The log, if somebody is not taken, like humans or non-human, if it is not rotten all the way in the river, flowing, if it is not stuck in the middle of the river or under the basin, on the basins of the river, if it is not gone to the either shore of the river, definitely, without a doubt, we can conclude that it might go to the ocean. So simple so far. In the same way, now Buddha turned into Dharma. In the same way, monks, if you don't ever, if you don't veer towards the near shore, if you don't come to the near shore, if you don't, direct to the far shore, don't sink in the middle, don't get washed up on high ground, don't get snared by the human beings or non-human beings or snared the whirlpool or rotten, you are always bound to go down to the nirvana. You are always inclined into nirvana. So this is still Sutta doesn't clearly say what the Buddha said. The Buddha himself, they are now comparing the log and its situations to the monk's life. If you do not come to this shore or the other shore, and if you do other things as said in the discourse, you're always going to nirvana. So when this was said, a certain monk from the group addressed the Buddha. It's puzzling, there may be bhikkhus who understood the meaning of the statement of the Buddha at the end of it, but we can expect that there would be certain monks who never got the gist of the saying of the Buddha. So that this particular monk, not waiting for long, asked the Buddha, What Lord is the near shore? What is the far shore? What is sinking in the middle? What is being washed up on high ground, and so forth. So this bhikkhu is helping us as well in understanding what these mean. What is the far shore? What is the near shore? What is the actually log? Uh, uh, and what is the sinking down in the middle? What is washed up on high ground, and what is rotten? What is taken by human? So Bante, what do you mean by this? We don't understand. So as you read the sutta, as I read the sutta, I know what it is now. But if you got this sutta for the first time, never read the later part of the discourse, we are not going to understand what it is. So then the Buddha takes the opportunity to explain everything he wanted by this statement. Nearshore monks stand for 6 internal sense media. So there is a kind of proximity in understanding the meaning there, that nearshore is 6 internal sense bases, because they are internal, they are in you. Eyes, ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. The human or any living being consists of these senses. So they are internal, and the word internal sense media come into existence just because there are external sense medias as well. So there is a comparison there. So nearshore is being compared to the 6 sense media, salayatana. Then the far shore stand for the 6 external sense media. So what you see is called rupa, and what you hear is called sound, sabda. What you taste is smell. What you taste is kind of flavor, and then what you smell is gandha, smell, and what you touch is something material, contact it's called. Then what you think is again it's called dharma, kind of aramana. So as you understand this before with many discourses, 6 external and internal sense medias, there is no difficulty understanding. But the significant is the comparison. Far shore is quite similar to near shore. The difference is that we are standing in one shore, so that it becomes closer to, it becomes internal, it becomes closer to you. As you are sitting here, the other side become far, but when you cross over, that side become closer to you. I'm not telling, this is something different. So near shore and far shore, internal sense media and external sense media, this word internal and external come into be because of the closeness to your belongingness to your yourself. So so then the Buddha explained the other things as well. What is being sneered by humans? Before that, before that we have other things. So far, sinking in the middle stand for passion and delight. Sinking in the middle stand for passion and delight, nandi raga. So the log is going to stuck in the middle of the river with on the sand, or with similar wood filed one after the other, so that the wood flowing down, the wood stop flowing down and stick with those things. So that is called in the Dharma and Vinaya, what is it? Nandi raga. Nandi raga, when we talk about Nandi raga, they are very subtle level of craving. Actually, the nature of craving is explained in such a way that Nandi raga. So they are very subtle, very quick. They arise as soon as we perceive something, as soon as sense and sensory experiences come together, this could arise along with basic things. So that they are very being stuck with the passion and delight is quite similar to the stuck of the wood in the mid of the river. So then the wood never goes down, and then and there it's going to be extinct. So then being washed up on high ground stand for the conceit I am. So you happen to see in these big rivers, they're like a huge tank. So far show is really far from you. So then you can imagine how big how width the rivers are. So in the middle of it, there may be small islands. So the wood can stuck and get into those high ground depending on the waves of the water, depending on the current of the water. So that it's quite similar to the mana I am. So let's go into the Dharma together after explaining this sutta, so that we can see what is the trajectory of the sermons of the Buddha. They are interrelated and interconnected. All these passion and sense media, both internal and external, in the inside of or between these sense medias, internal and external, Nandiraga rises, and then me and myself, man arises there. So they are interrelated. For the moment, let's go into the way the Buddha explained. And what is being snared by humans? That is the case where a monk lives entangled with householders, delighting with them and sorrowing them, happy when they are happy, pain when they are in pain, taking on their affairs as his own duty. This is called being snared by human beings. So you are caught by your feeling of belongingness to a particular group. Actually, the total duty of this problem we talk about is, I think, from bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, because as a bhikkhu, if I go to a family or two or three and try to make a very special relationship just because I like them, just because they like them, hiddenly in my mind, I might be creating attachment. I might be then when with attachment, I might be so upset when these people get sick, when these people get all kinds of changes, viparinamadam in their life. So that seemingly you have been building a relationship, but inside of your mind, you attach to them. If you are mindful, you can see this attachment. So one thing monks could be careful is not having strong attachment to lay people with so that makes a lot of issues for the mental development of the monk as well as those devotees, because the Shraddha, particular respect for monks, could be ended by somebody devotees. But I have seen how Anathapindika develop a particular Shraddha on Sariputta, Venerable Sariputta. And even in today's life, we can see some devotees are very close to monks, depending on their relationship, but there is no such problems happen. That's because you like the monks just like Anathapindika, but no attachment has been created. So I remember one or two incidents to understand this fact. Kulesu Ananugiddo in Karane Metta Sutta, the Buddha pointed out as a practice not to go to different families and make such closeness unnecessarily. If that happened, you're not going to develop much of them, because you become a part of that family and do that. So in my experience, there was one monk, and who of course deliver Dhamma very nice and up to the point. Therefore, he became famous. He became so important for many people, because when you do something great, when you do something important for the society, you become that. You are kind of a social icon. So one family with husband and wife, no children, um, uh, of course, associated this monk very closely, taking him anywhere this monk wants, and they had enough resources to do that. And it was really good at the beginning, but sometime later, when this monk paid attention to various things and never informed those people, they got angry. How dare this Hamdru didn't tell us this, because we are very close to him. We are the people who take them here and there. Why didn't he tell us that? Because when this couple knows something and somewhere this monk goes, and now this couple didn't know about it. So that this couple thinks that everything the monks does should be informed by him to them. So that's how the couple maintain the relationship. But monk didn't think that way. And I have another example that the monk created desire for lay people, a particular one person, not a couple, and he got angry whenever that lay person didn't communicate. So did you see that how the problem started? So this is why the Buddha asks us to associate lay people based on understanding. It could be your mom-like, father-like, brother-like, sister-like people. So it's okay according to Dhamma and Vinaya. However, do not breach the line. Do not go beyond the margin of so that you are going to have some problem. So that is what the taking by human means. So the log is being carried by the human means, that in this monastic life we could attach to devotees unnecessarily, and it disturb your mental well-being. Because if the log goes to the ocean, it means you reach to the nirvana. When the people take the log in the middle of the river, somewhere in the middle of the river, the log doesn't go to the ocean. It's quite similar. You are not going to attain nirvana, because you have instead of cutting off of attachment, you have created attachment. So then what is about non-humans? That's very significant. A lot of people got caught into these rituals during the time of the Buddha, even today, particularly in mainland of Buddhism. And it doesn't mean that people, Buddhist from this part of the world, do not have them. They have, some people have it, but it depends on understanding. So some people still find refuge from various beings, particularly divine beings. So there are stories in Jataka book and also Tamil literature that some divine beings can help humans depending on the level of Dhamma, particularly for Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be was helped by divine beings in number of ways, particularly to strengthen the Bodhisattva's practice. Taking these stories into life throughout centuries, people have been believing that divine beings come and help us with food, with gold, with so many items of living. But if you look at the way the sattvas, different categories of living beings live, there is no such things probable, because divine life is something else from us. And why don't divine beings always look for anyone to help in human conditions, right? So, however, being a monk, you are not going to, you should not be able to follow that kind of thing. Unfortunately, in each Theravada, Mahayana, Buddhist countries, we found some monks and nuns, uh, you know, practice this. Recently, I found a monk who is actually who has been in Canada for some time, and he learned how to read horoscope and also create auspicious time based on horoscope and other things. So his main idea is to help people with that, and I told him, why do you this? Because this is against our vinaya, and helping people should be done with the dharma, not with such mundane things. But he is not in a position to get it because his wisdom is such, so that I sympathize that this monk is accumulating demerits intentionally, because reading their horoscope, what he encouraged, the way he encouraged people is to sustain on their lay life. Like, for example, finding a job. Some person need kind of proper time to work on that, and then marriage and so on. So the monk's time is really spending for something very mundane, so that his wisdom, his mindfulness, his perseverance, his samadhi are not going to develop. They are muddled with. So that's why I was telling him that this is what happened to you if you live with this for a long time. Please get out of this and try to even hang on to some rituals like Buddha Puja, Bodhi Puja, not doing any meditation would be comparatively good than this, because at least you are thinking about the Buddha. Anyway, that monk is not zero from some Dhamma, but if we consider that particular example, he was not doing something great. So back to the sutta. If we think about being a divine being or being a Brahma, if our intention is working on that strongly, it is actually spending time uselessly. I mean, you are expecting another bhava. You are expecting another bhava with decay, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief. So the idea of being a divine being or a Brahma doesn't mean that you end up the cycle of suffering, cycle of dukkha. So that the Buddha's invitation for monk is not to go on that path. It's up to those theistic religion. So but the Buddha explain is something to endure craving and suffering and release from this ongoing samsara. So then, having explained that, the Buddha go to the next one. Whirlpool is stand for 5 string of sensuality, Panchakama. A whirlpool is always powerful, whether it is small or not. If you look at the tornado, it's very powerful. So I don't know the science of them to explain, but I know what effect it could happen. So if you become a victim of a whirlpool in the water, in the river or in the ocean, there is nothing to expect with that except missing. So Panchakama is like that. How does Panchakama come into existence? When you see, when you hear, when you taste, when you smell, when you touch, that is the ground for Panchakama to arise. In Satipatthana Sutta related to Satchapabba, at last with the Four Noble Truths, Buddha talks about where this Tanha Uppajjamana Uppajjit, where Tanha arises, it is Piyarupa. pleasant seeing, the tanha arises. So kama is kama, sensuality, panchakam is such a dangerous thing. Kama te patamasena. If you look at the Padana Sutta in Sutta Nipata, the Buddha talks about the 10 armies of Mara, and the first army of Mara is kama. Kama te patamasena. It is so vital and connected to other unwholesomeness as well. So you feel hungry, you feel thirsty, that is because of the nature of the body. But if you have karma intensely, you might be killing a living beings even for eating. You might fight with and do a lot of demerits because of your thirsty. But if you do not have karma there, you have other views to go for, like I feel hungry, but I don't violate any ethical rules because of my hunger. Even if I die without eating food, I do not violate any moral principles. There are people like that. So karma is therefore really dangerous in a spiritual sense, and that is one thing that we always regard. So mindfulness, we can talk about them later, but simply mindfulness, the duty of mindfulness is to watch each and every data through senses, because just to find whether karma is arises in those with these things that the senses bring in or not. So the mindfulness, duty of mindfulness is that wisdom help mindfulness to do that with categorical understanding, and both wisdom and mindfulness are highly vitally supported by virya, so that the duty of mindfulness, right understanding, and right effort is to actually deal with this panchakama, so that it is considered as the whirlpool. Whirlpool is so powerful, and everything coated with it is going to either damage or throw away a long way from where the whirlpool happens. So there is a particular sutta by the name Whirlpool. I cannot remember the exact title of the sutta. Anyway, it is a nice simile too. Monks, what is becoming rotten inside? So it is compared to the case where a certain monk is unprincipled, evil, unclean, and suspect in his undertaking, hidden in his action, not contemplative, though claiming to be one, not leading the holy life through claiming to be so, inwardly rotten, oozing with desire, filthy by nature. So you are pretending as a monk, but inside you have no qualities. For in front of devotees, men and women, you behave well like a real monk, but when you are alone, you might be doing something never related to your monk life. Then what happened to your mind? So cunningness is developed, and ignorance is developed, and you are more to learn how to hide your true nature, because you feel you have mana. You have to hide it because of mana. If people know that, if people know this, they never allow me to stay in this monastery, and they never offer me anything for my survival. So that lying is going there always, and not knowing the danger of karma is always there in his mind, and he put himself into hell, so that it's compared to the rotten wood in the water, right? At some point of time, the wood would not be that strong, and it makes very soft, and broken into pieces because it was in the water for a long time. So if you live with unhealthy uh, behaviors for a long time and hide them for everyone, your mind becomes similar to that rotten wood. If you look at the garbage bin and see those bad smelly rotten food items, they are really upset, and so quite similar to your mind. If you are not a genuine upasaka and upasaka, bhikkhu and bhikkhuni, but you are showing that you are a good person, it's multiple ways of accumulating demerits. So no, then according to the simile, there is no log to go into the river because everything becomes soft and rotten, and then maybe eaten by the big fish, maybe broken into pieces and mixed with water, and nothing solid is going down on the river to the ocean. Likewise, there is no a person there with qualities to attain nirvana. At least the sila vipatti has been done, samadhi is gone, higher wisdom is unachievable when the sila vipatti, the damage done to the sila and also samadhi. So it's quite relevant to us as well as all of you, because we are all on the same path despite our nature of life in noble eightfold path. So we it's really important. And having said that, that was the full discourse actually. I think the monk who listening to discourse did not get the point at first until that monk asked the question on behalf of everyone. But with this, explanation, with the did only, why this is called log, why this is called, going into the other show and this show, this is what it means in the teaching. Actually, the teaching itself is called a stream. Sotapanna state is called entry into stream. So that the noble eightfold path is called a river, stream. The one who enter into the stream, Sota Apanna, is called Sotapanna, the stream winner. So the whole teaching, the Dharma part, along with the Vinaya beside, is called a stream. So we have already jumped into, maybe we have been in some places stuck with something, but we are in the stream. So friends, the bhikkhus over there might gotten the idea of what the Buddha said, so that there is no such indication after that. But there was a layperson by the name Nanda was there standing closer to the Buddha, and he was cowherd, and he said, Lord, I don't do whatever the sermon say. I don't go to the near show and far show. I don't sink in the middle, and I won't get snared by human beings, and I make sure not to go not to go to the divine or any other agencies like that, and I won't be able to get caught with the whirlpool and so forth. So he said that I fully understand what you say, and now I want to become a monk. It would be good, Lord, if I could obtain the going forth, if I could obtain the full acceptance as a monk. So do you see that how powerful his moves from lay life to monk's life? He was a cowherd. Perhaps he was with the cows. In our era, a lot of people think that being a monk is good, but I am a cowherd and I should think about it later on. and I have family and so forth. That's how a lot of people think about their life. But how this cowherd Nanda left everything behind and decide to become a monk, even to say that I would like to become a monk, is not a simple thing. Because, friends, he penetrated through the lines of the Buddha about the life, so that he quickly realized that this life is in a real danger, more than dangerous, more than that log. The log is in inanimate things, material thing, and it would go into the ocean, and one day in the ocean either it is rotten and disappears, either taken by people for something useful. So the wood is wood, but when we come to our life with the Dhamma, we have to be careful. Sometimes we do good, sometimes we may not be in that category good, so that demerits might arise, and negligence might create a lot of issues with suffering. So I think Nanda had that strong inspiration in his mind that I should become a monk. Then the cow, I think here in the sutta, the Nanda was regardless of what happened to the cow, but Buddha, being the most important teacher in the universe, said that don't do so, because you are responsible for these cows. Then Nanda agreed to put them back into the right place, and then he did that. And it is a type of activity that true people, I mean Sappurisa, does. They never create problem anymore. So Nanda then he got the ordination from the Buddha, and he was also practicing Dhamma. So see, his mind turned into very perfect positions to enter into the order. It does not mean that he ended up his whole craving. He was ready to do the final flight, but he was still still with craving. So that it is said that he went away from the other groups after taking the ordination. He had enough interest and kind of sense of urgency towards nirvana. So he got the ideas from the Buddha for final meditation, and it is said in the discourse that he reached to the supreme goal of the holy life. What do you mean by that? Nirvana, the arahantship. So he came to know himself that the birth is ended, no suffering at all hereafter. Holy life has been done. There is nothing to be done with regard to the holy life. So he became another arahant during the time of the Buddha. So right now we have much time to discuss about the sutta. I mean 20 minutes maximum, or 25 minutes. So how significant this discourse for you? What inspirations come to you when you read this, either intellectually or spiritually? So how do you connect the teaching of the discourse, this discourse, to other discourses? Do you find any dissimilarity over the way of saying from this same fact from this discourse to another discourse? So the session is open for everyone, and take your time and try to bring some beautiful Dhamma. For me, I will share with you about my feeling about the discourse. I always like similes, metaphors, and also comparison in the suttas, because one is it is important for us to teach people different Dhamma elements in each way, so that I take them and note them down and either keep them in mind to explain the Dhamma. The other thing is that everything is discussed here, like Nandiraga, Salayatana, then six sense media and their respective objects, then Nandiraga, then what you call Panchakam, and then interestingly how which attachment to devotees, attachment to people, and wishing to be divine, or beyond that. They are all talking about big point in a simple manner. I think I really like this discourse just because of that reason as well. So Dr. Pial is going to say something.
Okay. Just looks like it's something like you imagine a person who is starting to practice sensory restraints with the far show and near show, and he's trying to this trying to point out there are still more traps along the way. And for example, Whirlpool, Chandaraga, or something can arise within, get rotten, so or get stuck because of your mana, like your conceit. So you got to these are like red flags. You got to be careful. These are traps along the way. So that's what he's trying to warn the monks. Even though you're practicing these far show, near show, whatever, like insight practices with sensory restraints. Observing your senses, but there are lots of obstacles on the path. But one question I had was now there is a bit of overlap when they talk about these five sensory chords. Like, I mean, it's also the fast show example, for example, saying five sensual chords are there's a bit of overlap, right? Because it's the same as sensual desires from the eye, but the object is one of the sensual chords, right? Beautiful object or whatever. So there is a bit of overlap, but I guess even if you practice, you can get caught to this. In other words, in the middle of the stream somewhere. Is that the because there's is a repeat there example for a metaphor?
Yeah, I think you brought a very nice idea at the very beginning. I come to the one you said that for the second time later on. Yes, you brought the idea in a very beautiful way that, yeah, we practice the Dhamma on the way to Nirvana. It is a journey, and you come across a lot of red flags, a lot of dangerous areas, dead end. It's just like we drive down to somewhere and you see the slippery areas on the road and bending places where a lot of people got met with an accident, and you have warnings, you have different signs. Likewise, you brought the idea in a beautiful way that, yes, on the path to Nirvana, you have a lot of obstacles. Actually, we experience that from our own practices. One day we try our best and feel very good. Next day, it might go away from us completely, depending on the relationship we have, depending on things we come across, perhaps physical illnesses. We might fail at some point depending on the severity of the experience we have. Like, next day we make our practice again. So up and downs are there, and Buddha warned the monks over there and also all of us that it is a path of lot of obstacles, and there are maybe, if you look at the is that Vammika Sutta? Not Vammika Sutta. I will tell you the exact story. Oh, Asivisopama Sutta. Actually, this sutta is also in that same category. In Asivisopama Sutta, that particular person is running away from all these dangers. One after the other, step by step, he come across another danger. Likewise, until we attain to at least Sotapanna state, there are a lot of dangers on the way around, beside the road. So we must be careful of these things. So as you rightly said, it's a kind of warning sermon for all of us from the Buddha. And next you said that, yes, I think overlapping is there. In one discourses you find with Salayatana, we talk about, Panchakam. Yeah, of course, they are very related. So in order to make the Dharma Sangvega for us and for those monks, and in order to bring the simile in a nice way, I think Buddha sometime put certain things together, sometimes separate. I think that overlapping makes because of the simile log. I think it could either come to this show or next. For example, as you said, if the log come to this show, for example, according to the six senses, there it is stuck with Panchakam, right? So I agree with the fact that overlapping is there. If you know the Dhamma, you can take everything together, like Bahirayatana, Abhyantarayatana, internal and external senses are the place where all the problems happen. So those who know the Dhamma, it is very clear. In Salayatana, the Upadana, all this aggregate and everything with attachment created. So if we understand that Salayatana is such a essence, that would be the beginning of the training. According to Salayatana Samhita, it is said that if you really have sense restraint, there you have the beginning of the noble journey. Thank you very much for your contribution, and you are welcome to do more if there is no one talk. So thank you for the first contribution. It's a nice way putting things together. Anybody else? I was surprised to hear that somebody from nowhere came to the audience and talk about Darukandopama Sutta while I was attending to a conference at the University of Toronto. I think it was in 2016. I was in a conference. It's an academic conference, and professors, different people from different background come and present their case studies, theses, research ideas. And one person was talking about this particular sutta, the white Canadian. I could not talk to him after the presentation because right after him, there were two presentations and then mine. And when I look for that particular person who talked about Darukandopama Sutta, he was not there. So that was the first, I read the discourse well before that, but that incident always made me to remember this discourse. So you see that sometimes people understand Dhamma from such discourses. If you look at Satipatthana and Sabbasava, Samma Ditti, and you of course can name a lot of nice, very deep discourses. But he said in his talk that he got the inspiration of the Dhamma with this simile. And the reason why he got the inspiration, because he is a person who go to the river, I think St. Laurent or whatever river, I cannot remember the river's name, for swimming, for canoeing, so that this kind of wood might always go here and there in the river. So he got the inspiration by this sutta because it's related to him. So likewise, there may be a couple of point of Dhamma or sutta that everybody like and develop the idea of releasing ourselves. So that's what I wanted to share about that. And if there is anyone who could add more into the discussion, please take time. Okay, I think if you do not have anything, I might end today's session, because in 25 minutes, I have another 1.5 hour program with some Sri Lankan friends in Sri Lanka. Before this, I had a 2 hours program, and now it's still more than close to 1 hour. We started today at 7:08. So I know that you have, uh, you know, read many discourses and practiced Dhamma, not based on one particular posture, but by every means. And you have a lot of Dhamma weapons in you to fight with the negativity in your mind, so that it's always good to associate you as lay supporters. And it's said to me and all the monks you associate, if they take that kind of things from you, that's really good too. So I really enjoyed the company of you, uh, and I hope to continue it as much as I can. And finally, by the power of this Dhamma that we discuss, may you be able to complete your training on Sila, Samadhi, and Panya successfully, exceedingly, and attain Nirvana in this very life. I know that we are in Momentura Nibbana whenever we take the Dhamma in absolute way, no no hindrances, no other problems at all. But we want to take these roots, craving of suffering out of our mind to see the end of the tunnel. So I believe and I trust that we can do it. Let's share the Dhamma out of compassion each other until we complete the aspiration. And I wish things would be really good for us, for particularly this kind of Dhamma discussion. And whoever conduct suttas and discussion on dhammas like this should go to them and listen to them and take something out of those discussion and dhamma sermon. So having said that, I finally wish you good health and peace of mind, and my plan is to see you next week with a different discourse. Until then, excuse me, may you all be able to maintain your beautiful life further. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa is said by those devotees when they understood the Dhamma out of great respect. And I know that you have great respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and may you be able to live long with that. Until we see next week, may you be well, happy, and peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.